She stood at the edge of my fence, arms crossed like a statue carved from pure entitlement. "You can't dump those fish here. This isn't your water," she snapped. I didn't even look up from the tank I was carrying. I knew exactly what I was doing. And more importantly, I knew exactly what she didn't know. Behind her, the HOA golf cart was parked sideways across the gravel road, blocking the path like she was guarding some royal palace. Two other HOA board members, clueless and quiet, stood behind her like backup dancers with zero lines. I heard her heels crunch on the dirt as she marched closer, voice rising. "I'm calling the police. You're trespassing on HOA protected land." I finally looked at her. "Karen, that pond feeds from my spring. You're standing on my property line." She blinked, frozen for a second, but that ego of hers didn't let her stop. No, that water belongs to the community. You can't just move fish into it. That's illegal, biohazard or something." That's when she pulled out her phone and said the line that made my blood boil and made my wife start recording from our back porch. "Yeah, we've got an illegal immigrant dumping invasive fish into our ecosystem. Send someone now." Illegal immigrant? I was born in Oklahoma, fought 2 tours in Afghanistan, built this farm from the ground up when I got home. But none of that mattered to her. I wasn't wearing a polo or driving a golf cart. To her, I didn't look like I belonged here. I kept my voice calm. "You sure you want to make this call, Karen?" "Oh, I've already made it," she smirked. "You're about to learn what happens when you break HOA rules." Little did she know, I am the reason the HOA even has water in the first place, and I've got papers to prove it. She thought she was the queen of the pond, but I built the damn river. The cops showed up faster than usual. 2 SUVs, lights flashing, sirens off. Karen practically ran to them, waving her arms like she was in a stage play. "That's him!" she shouted. "He's dumping contaminated fish into our protected HOA pond." The officers stepped out slowly. One of them glanced at me, then at the fish tanks lined up near the stream on my side of the fence. He looked confused. "Sir, is this your land?" Before I could answer, Karen jumped in. "Of course not. This is community property. Our HOA manages this entire watershed. He just moved here and started acting like he owns the place." I sighed and reached into the folder tucked under my arm. "This is my property deed," I said, handing it over to the officer. "And this," I pulled out a second set of papers, "is the water rights. Agreement from 1986. My grandfather sold water access to the HOA under a lease. The lease expired 5 months ago. I now own full control of the water source, including the stream, the pond, and the underground spring." Karen's smile cracked. The officer raised an eyebrow. "Is this real?" I nodded. "Registered with the county clerk last year." "Check the stamp." Karen lunged forward, trying to snatch the papers from the officer. "That's fake. He's making it up. My husband is the HOA president. He never approved anything." "That's funny," I said, watching her carefully. "Because your husband signed the renewal request himself." I declined it. She froze. "You declined it?" "Yes, after he called me trailer trash at the last HOA barbecue." The officer took a long breath and turned to Karen. "Ma'am, we can't remove him from his own land, especially if he has legal ownership of the water." Karen's face turned red like a fire hydrant. "You're making a mistake," she screamed. "He's going to ruin everything. Fish poop in the water. Kids swim there." I leaned forward just enough for her to hear me. "You should have read the lease before you drank from my spring." She screamed, yanked her phone back out, and started filming me, shaking with rage. She had no idea the footage my wife captured earlier was already uploading to a private YouTube account with timestamps, paperwork, and her exact words. "Illegal immigrant dumping invasive fish." And that was just the start. She tried to drown me in HOA rules, but I hold the faucet now. That night, everything exploded. Karen didn't stop at the cops. She went full nuclear. At 3 a.m., I woke up to flashing lights outside my farmhouse. My wife peeked through the curtains and whispered, "You're not going to believe this." 4 tow trucks, all parked by the pond. Men in reflective vests were rolling hoses out. One of them was dragging a giant pump toward the water. "What the hell are they doing?" I muttered, throwing on a jacket. I stormed outside and yelled, "Hey, who sent you?" A short guy in a vest looked up. "HOA dispatch. We got an emergency order to drain the contaminated water. Said it was biohazard level 2. They can't touch that pond, I said, stepping closer. That's not HOA property. That's my spring-fed water. He hesitated. Sir, you got paperwork? I've got more than that. I pointed behind me. A flashlight flicked on from the shadows. My cousin Ray, who just happened to be the county environmental inspector, stepped forward holding a clipboard. He flashed his badge. These men are not authorized to drain anything. And if they even touch that pond without a certified contamination test, they'll be violating federal wetland protection laws. Karen's voice cut through the night like a chainsaw. You're bluffing! She came storming down the hill in a silk robe and slippers, her badge swinging like she was a sheriff in some made-up town. You can't stop this. I called the emergency team myself. This water is property of Maple Estates. Trey and I'm invoking Community Safety Clause 13. Ray didn't flinch. Maple Estates HOA is leasing water from Mr. Cade here. That lease is expired. And your Clause 13? Only applies to common-use fountains, not spring-fed bodies on private agricultural property. Karen opened her mouth, but nothing came out. You want to keep pushing this? Ray said. I'll call the state. You'll be answering to the EPA by sunrise. Karen clenched her fists. You think you've won? I smiled. Karen, I haven't even started. She stormed off into the night, screaming into her phone again. My wife whispered behind me. She's calling someone. I know, I said quietly. Let her. Because what she didn't know was I had already called someone too, and tomorrow morning she was going to get a visit she'd never forget. She sent trucks to steal my water, so I sent the law to drain her lies. By 9 a.m. the next morning, Karen's perfectly trimmed front yard was crawling with state officials. 3 black SUVs rolled into the neighborhood. No sirens, no noise, just quiet authority. Men in dark jackets stepped out with clipboards, field kits and badges on their belts, the kind of presence that makes everyone peek through blinds but pretend they're not watching. Karen came running out in her tennis outfit, sunglasses on, trying to act casual. Excuse me, can I help you? This is a private HOA. Visitors must register. One of the men calmly replied, Ma'am, we're with the State Water Board and Environmental Protection Agency. We're here to investigate reports of unauthorized water manipulation and possible ecological disruption. Karen laughed too hard. That's ridiculous. I am the vice president of the HOA. I authorized the cleanup. That pond is a threat to our kids. He stared at her. Did you conduct any formal testing before attempting to drain the water? She blinked. What? Any certified contamination report? State clearance? Local water review? No, but I witnessed illegal activity, she snapped. A man, an outsider, dumped unknown fish into our community pond. That pond, the agent said, flipping a page on his clipboard, is on private property. Property that is not under your jurisdiction. Then he dropped the line that stopped her cold. And the man you're accusing is a registered agricultural water holder, with senior rights that predate the formation of your HOA. Karen's mouth hung open like someone unplugged her brain. At that moment, my wife and I stepped outside. I held up a mug of coffee and smiled. Morning, Karen, want some water? She didn't speak. Another agent walked up with a tablet in hand. Sir, he said to me, we also received a video link from you last night. Yep, that's her, false police report. Racial profiling, impersonating environmental authority, and ordering an unauthorized land operation. Karen took a step back. You're twisting everything. I was just protecting the neighborhood. The lead agent shook his head. Ma'am, we'll need to speak with you privately. Inside your home. Her voice dropped to a whisper. This is harassment. You're all in on it. As she turned and walked stiffly back into her house, flanked by officials, I leaned over to my wife. You think she's figured it out yet? Figured what? She asked. I grinned. That I bought the water rights 5 months ago. From her own husband, the HOA president. My wife's jaw dropped. He needed quick cash. Never told her. Karen didn't just lose control of the water. She never had it to begin with. She called the state on me, not knowing I owned the pipeline feeding her lawn. 2 hours later, HOA group chats were melting down. Screenshots from the live footage were everywhere. Karen yelling at the state agents, me standing calm with my deed in hand, and that one perfect frame, where her mouth was wide open, as the agent pointed at the county seal. By noon, someone leaked the real twist. The water rights were legally transferred by her husband, and Karen never signed off. Suddenly, all those emails she sent as Vice President of Water Oversight became legally questionable. The HOA board held an emergency meeting in the clubhouse. My wife and I sat outside on our porch, sipping lemonade and watching SUV after SUV roll up. Some board members went inside. Others just drove past after seeing the state cars still parked on Karen's lawn. Then the cherry on top. A white van pulled up with bold letters, Channel 8 Local News. A young reporter stepped out, talking fast into her mic. We're live in Maple Estates, where a resident faces multiple investigations after allegedly calling false emergency services over a privately owned water source. Exclusive footage reveals racial targeting and unauthorized environmental tampering. Karen came storming out of the clubhouse. Her hair was a mess now, glasses off, phone shaking in her hand. "Get off my property," she yelled at the reporter. "This is fake news." The camera didn't stop rolling. One of the state agents approached and handed her a manila envelope. "Ma'am, you are officially under investigation for filing a false environmental hazard report, obstruction of a private agricultural lease, and impersonation of a legal authority." Karen's hand shook as she opened it. No, this isn't happening." "Oh, it's happening," I said, walking up behind the cameras. "And this time it's all legal." She turned slowly, eyes full of fury. "You tricked everyone. You ruined my life." I stepped closer, quiet enough that only she could hear. "You ruined your own life, Karen. I just let the truth do its job." She looked around, realizing the cameras were still filming. She whispered, desperate, "I can fix this. Tell them we're friends, just undo this. Friends don't call me an illegal and drain my pond at 3 a.m. She didn't speak again. The HOA board voted that night to suspend her indefinitely. Her husband never showed up. Rumor was he'd left town. Karen didn't just lose her power. She became the story. And I had one final move left. She tried to bury me in HOA paperwork, but I buried her in the truth on live TV. 3 days later, a letter arrived at my mailbox. No stamp, no return address. Just folded paper, hand-delivered. It was from Karen. Sloppy handwriting. No apology. She wrote, "You think you've won, but this isn't over. I built this community. I kept it safe. People like you ruin things. You're not the hero you think you are." I showed the letter to my wife. She shrugged. "Still doesn't get it, huh?" "She's not done," I said quietly. "This feels like a setup." That night I found out I was right. At 2 a.m. a loud bang hit the back of my barn. Then another. I ran out with a flashlight, expecting raccoons. What I saw chilled me. 2 teenagers in hoodies were tossing bricks at my fish tanks, shattering glass, laughing and filming it. My trout flopped helplessly on the ground. I yelled. They ran. But not before one shouted, "HOA cleanup, loser!" My wife was already dialing 911, but I wasn't focused on them. I was looking at the security camera. The red light was off. Cut wires. Karen. She couldn't beat me legally. Now she was going dirty. I stayed up till dawn, fixing tanks, calming fish, checking each camera. By 8 a.m. I was in the sheriff's office with the footage of the teens, and more importantly, my backup camera that caught something else. Karen's silver Lexus parked down the road at 1:57 a.m. Headlights off. 2 shadows getting out, then getting back, and 60 seconds later, I paused the video. The sheriff leaned forward. "You said these kids mentioned the HOA?" "Yep, said they were cleaning up for Karen." "And you've got her car on video at the scene?" "License plate's clear too," I said. "Oh, and here's the part where she cut the wires." I played the last clip. Karen walking around the back fence earlier that evening, using gardening shears to snip my camera line. Silence filled the room. The sheriff leaned back. "She's cooked." I stood up. "Can I press charges?" He nodded. "You can press everything. Destruction of private property, inciting vandalism, trespassing, tampering with security systems." He trailed off, then smiled. "And since it's her second strike this week, I'll make the arrest myself." Karen wanted to play dirty, but she forgot who I am. She sent kids to break my tanks. Now she's gonna learn what it feels like to be the one in cuffs. The arrest didn't go quietly. By 11 a.m., 4 sheriff cruisers pulled into Maple Estates. No sirens, but the whole neighborhood knew something was up. Moms clutching coffee mugs stood frozen on driveways. HOA board members peeked through blinds like church ladies at a scandal. Karen was gardening out front, clipping already perfect roses with fake calm. Sheriff Burns stepped out of his cruiser. He didn't smile.
Karen Walters?
She turned, feigning surprise. Oh, hello, Sheriff. Did you catch the boys who vandalized that man's fish farm? We did, he said flatly. And they gave us a name, yours. Karen froze. What? We have video evidence of you cutting security wires. Evidence you orchestrated the attack. You're under arrest for property destruction, conspiracy to commit vandalism, and trespassing. Her hand shook, still holding the shears. You're joking. Burns pulled out the cuffs. You have the right to remain silent. She backed away. I'm not going anywhere. I run this community. You can't arrest me in front of my neighbors. Oh, I absolutely can, he said, walking forward. She screamed as he grabbed her arm. This is a setup. He's doing this because he hates the HOA. Because he's a... Click, the cuffs snapped on. People were filming now. Phones everywhere. One kid even whispered, yo, she's going viral again. Karen kicked at the air. My husband's a lawyer. I'll sue all of you. Burns didn't flinch. Funny, your husband filed for divorce yesterday. Claimed you forged his signature on HOA water contracts. That broke her. She collapsed in the cruiser seat, sobbing uncontrollably. Mascara running. No more queen of the pond. No more fake power. Just another HOA Karen going down in flames. Across the street, I stood beside my wife. She held my hand tight. You okay? She asked. I nodded slowly. Yeah, I just didn't think it'd end like this. She smiled. You didn't end it. She did. At that moment, my phone buzzed. A text from Channel 8 News. Can we do a follow-up segment? The hero farmer who took down the HOA tyrant. You've got America's attention. I chuckled. I didn't want fame. I just wanted peace. But if telling the truth meant going viral, I was fine with that. She ruled the neighborhood with fake rules. Until real justice walked up her driveway. A week later, the HOA held a town hall meeting. But this time, I was the one standing at the front. Karen's chair sat empty. Her nameplate removed. Her husband's resignation letter had gone public. And the board voted unanimously to revoke all her privileges. Permanently. I looked around the room. Faces that used to glare at me now nodded in respect. Even the grumpy guy who once complained about my tractor noise stood up to clap. I cleared my throat. I didn't move here to fight anyone. I just wanted a quiet life, a farm, a pond, a place where my wife and I could raise our daughter in peace. People listened. I didn't ask to be part of the HOA. I didn't even know. I owned the water until Karen pushed me to check. A few chuckles. But when someone attacks your land, your family, your truth, you don't back down. I held up the folder, the same one from that first day by the pond. This is what saved me. Not anger, not revenge, just facts, just quiet power. I could feel the shift in the room. People finally got it. After the meeting, one of the younger board members pulled me aside. Hey, we're revising the charter. Thinking of giving landowners like you optional exemption from HOA rules, especially when you're not even using their utilities. I nodded. Good call. He smiled. Also, some folks want to name the pond after you. I laughed. I didn't do anything special. He grinned. You stood your ground. That's enough. That night, back on the porch, I watched the pond shimmer under the moonlight. The fish had settled back in. Peaceful. Alive. My daughter toddled up beside me, holding her sippy cup. Daddy, can I go see the fishies? Soon, I said. They're resting now, like us. My wife wrapped her arms around me. We good now? I looked at her, then out at the land I fought for. Yeah, we're more than good. Because I didn't just win against a Karen. I proved that even in the face of fake power, real roots, family, land, truth run deeper. She tried to flood me with fear, but I held steady. Because this land, this freedom, I earned it. The end. Subscribe my YouTube channel for more stories.